What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. It is match day. We got Cagliari and Juventus. As you can see, it is crunch time for Motta'S Juve. We've got to lock up top four. We have some favorable results yesterday that help us out as well. We have to take advantage. But we're all just sitting around waiting, and we have been waiting for this turnaround. And again, I'm at the same, one game at a time, but we're going to tackle all the news because meanwhile, while we're waiting for this turnaround and we're waiting for Motta'S Juve to kind of show us some type of progress moving forward, well, media is running wild. Media is running wild on certain key players around Juventus after the Champions League defeat. And what do we get from the club as fans? Complete silence. Crickets. So it's up to us, I guess. It's up to me, Lex, and Paolo to talk about it all and see where we're at today. All right, Lex, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a while. Feels like a while since we've had you on a show, so it's good to see you. All right. A fantastic kit on, by the way, one of my absolute
Thank you.
favorites. The
Thanks.
97-98, an absolutely spectacular kit. And Paolo, how are you doing today with a stunning jacket, one of my favorite pieces this season, and the best damn mug you could possibly have, the AJC mug. How you doing, brother?
Good morning. Good morning, Lex. Good morning, Bert. I'm doing pretty good, thanks. I'm feeling really positive.
That's good. That's good, because we're going to need it. And just like Tuna says here, we need a big W today. Absolutely. Skippy saying morning. We'll say what's up to everybody in the chat here, you guys. We got a lot to tackle. All right. It's great seeing you all in here. Gob Miners, Alex Juve, Deschiliopa. There is a watch along today. My friend always asking if I'm doing watch alongs. There is a watch along today. All right. So we are going to get into this one. Alex Juve, pretty pumped that it's the Lex and Paolo combination. I am just old chopped liver in the middle, but I'm okay with that, all right? So let's rock and roll. Where do we start? We had so much, okay? Serie A is the gift that keeps on giving. We had a PK fight amongst a team, all right? We still have De Laurentiis indictment talking about. We have Gasperini potentially being an option. Oh my God, where do we start here? All right. Let's kick things off with what went down with this PK thing and a potential Juventus target, Lorenzo Luca. So he takes the ball from his captain, the set PK taker, and he refuses all of his teammates from giving him the ball back. All right. He says, no, I'm taking this thing. Lecce players walked in there, tried to take the ball from him and get it to Tovan. The coach is sitting there on the sideline. Lorenzo Luca says, hell no. And to be fair, hell of a PK as he buries. He sellies by himself, and a couple minutes is substituted for his troubles. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What do you even say here? A little 4D chess, though, trying to just piss everybody in Udinese off so that he could come to Juve on the cheap in the summer? Lex, what happened there?
I don't know. It was peak Serie A, though. It was so peak. Like, just can't make this stuff up. The storylines every weekend, it was great, especially for a Friday afternoon match in my case. And I just think it was cold, man. Like, I don't know. Like, say what you want. I know he was going against coach's orders, which is not ideal. However, I thought it was cold. The way he scored that PK, anyways. I mean, hey, I got some respect for him in that regard.
It's a tough one because it's like you're going against your captain, you're going against the coach, you're going against everybody to hit this PK. Now, some are bringing up Tovan's awful form on PKs, like missing 6 of 19, I think, like run there, but like Paolo, like from the outside looking in, a bad sign there for a player that's a potential target to do this, or props to him. Standing his ground, wanted to take that thing, Tovan missing a couple consecutive going into it. Like, how do you see this thing?
Well, he buried it, and I think that's what counts is that he got it in. It's really odd, and I don't know what overcomes somebody at that moment when they're gonna do all that in front of a full crowd and on TV. I don't know what they're.
It was something else. It was something else. But yeah, nonetheless, Lorenzo Luca, you want him at Juve? Yes or no? Hey, weigh in and chime in. And for you two, do you want him? Do you want him to come into Juve?
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I think it depends how much. Like, what do you want for this guy? It's nervy to do something silly like that. I don't know what the story is behind it. He should probably address it if he wants to, but depends how much. I mean, we need some support up top. We need more than one person. So if he's cheap enough, maybe he's useful.
Devil's in the details. Lex, do you want Lorenzo Luca as a backup option?
Ooh, it's interesting because on one hand, I do like that it's a player who's 1, Italian, 2, played in the league, 3, found success playing in the league. That seems to be a solid recipe when you're trying to build a squad, especially within Serie A. On the other hand, I don't know, do we get someone who's a similar profile to Dusan, or do we move away from that? Because for me, I feel like he's similar to Dusan in a regard of his play style. So I don't know. I feel like it's a toss-up. Depends what we're looking for.
Yeah. I'll say one thing. He is very strong aerially, and we've been weak in that regard. So it might be nice to have a guy like that as a changeup, because I get the similarities to Vlahovic, but Lorenzo Luca's way stronger, like aerially for those crosses. If you get into certain situations in a game where you have to go with 2 strikers and one of them could be a target guy like that, could be a nice changeup to a Colomuani, and having a big guy like that next to him, right? Now, speaking of that, we'll wait and see what happens with Lorenzo Luca, but the rumors are Mirko Di Natale gave us a decent little drop. It felt like he was keeping some things in his pocket for a while, because unleashed on a random Friday afternoon spaces, but he unleashed that the plan is Colomuani, which we've known all along, but he says there have been initial contacts already on 3 strikers to also go along with that in the summer. And that is Jonathan David, Victor Osimhen, and Benjamin Sesko. And the first time we've had somebody that is actually credible start to talk about Benjamin Sesko and Juventus. So interesting. Now, when we look at all these 3, I'm just going to start off with this for everybody in the chat, and Paolo and Lex. I want your top pick out of those 3. Forget about the situations around them. Forget about how much we think the possibilities lie with each of these guys. I want your first pick out of those 3 that you would handpick and say, put them on Juve right now. Who's your top out of those 3?
I'm going to go with Jonathan David.
Okay.
Just because of his success at Ligue 1 right now. Also, not only because he's Canadian, but I do think I would like to see him in our system. I think he's a great fit, exactly like Alex Juve said. I think he's a great fit for our system. Osimhen, I'm saying no, because former Napoli player. I think there's like some, I don't know, attitude issues too that I'm just not a fan of. And Sesko, okay, but I'm going to say Jonathan David.
Jonathan David. And De Chiliopa refuses to play our game as he has chosen Gyökeres, which is totally fine. Paolo, handpick your one out of those 3 options.
Well, there's so many variables. I'm really confused because I don't know about the money. I don't know if that, are we picking someone if we know that?
No, I said no possibilities, no nothing, like just straight up player per player. Out of those 3, who would you want?
I think Osimhen's probably the most dynamic and interesting.
Interesting.
Not saying I want him, but to answer your question, as you've asked.
Yeah, there's a lot saying Osimhen. Some Benjamin Seshko, easy. A lot of Jonathan Davids too. It's decent, fair, decent little split there. Everybody would think and assume, and I saw that in the daily update video, that I would automatically go with Jonathan David. I will tell you this, it is very close. I would love to see a Canadian national player on Juventus at some point. But I'd actually go with Seshko, personally. Osimhen, I want nothing to do with for a number of reasons, but he is. I mean, I actually like all three. I like all three of these targets, and I like the ambition it shows going after these guys. If we can get one of them, I actually think it's great, but Osimhen I would prefer to stay away from. Benjamin Seshko, could it happen? What's the splash going to be? None of us know the details as of yet. It's all media speculation. We wait and see. Even for Jonathan David, it appears that he wants a Prem move, or if it's going to be outside of that, Barca. But you just never know, and you have to wait and see. And it sounds like Jonathan David's shooting his shot for a big, big deal, like something that's going to be game-changing for him and his agent and family as well. So, yeah, you might have another Moise Kean tractor story at the end of this thing. We just have to wait and see what goes down. But I wanted to point out and highlight one of the things that's kind of underlining here that nobody's really paying attention to is, while Mirko states something at the start of this Friday afternoon random spaces, etc., and all the rumors that come beyond it, everybody pays attention to the rumors. And I kind of like paid attention to one of the headlines, like right at the start, one of the little bits he dropped. And that's Juve's intentions are to continue to invest this summer with 4 good, strong signings. That right there, nobody even batted an eye. Nobody even said anything, whatnot. But like, we have put ourselves in a position financially to do that. And that's huge, considering the windows we've come out of while we've been struggling financially, and nobody's paying attention to it. And I'm like, guys, we've been complaining window after window, like, oh, free signings on older guys. Oh, man, a window where you only bring in Timothy Weah. No disrespect to him, who's done great this year, by the way. But, like, those are not legit windows, right? Now, all of a sudden, you put yourself in a position where you're looking at these guys that are considered top options out there going into the summer, whether some of us agree or not. That's big. That's big, and nobody's really given it enough credit to the group there, because they just get shit on some of the moves that, yeah, might not be great, right? But we're in a much better spot, and we're moving in the right direction. It's important that everybody pays attention to that. As far as who we get, well, let's wait and see. And that's why it's crunch time for Motta. Gotta qualify. Can't lose that revenue out of Champions League. Now, speaking of Champions League, we had some stories coming out of that Champions League debacle, everybody. We had some stories. So number one, a moment with Cambiaso and Motta during the game. Cambiaso is called out as Renato Vega goes down. And they want to jump on a photo. They want to caption it. Ma perché devo entrare proprio io? Why does it have to be me going in? That's not what went down. I watched the thing. I clipped it. I watched the video several times. It looks like a pretty damn standard scenario that went down. It looked like a coach that was like, why the hell don't you have your shit together? Get ready. I need you out there. You know? And it doesn't look like anything more than that to me. Did you guys see that clip live when it was going down? Did you watch it the next day? Did you see any of it? Lex, you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Paulo, did you?
Yeah, I saw it after when it blew up.
Yeah. And your thoughts? Just a standard scenario
He
where
was apparently he was talking. I forget who was next to him, but he was saying something about Pep and him in a hot tub, and they were laughing about the bubbles. And then all of a sudden, Motta's like, "Hey, get on the field."
So, oh my God, we talked about this, and we were going through this in the chat and whatnot, and I'm like, this is just standard. I go, but it's symbolic of something else for me that really shows you where we're at. Because, and Lex, you could probably speak to this, still playing competitive and whatnot, but usually what most guys will do as a coach you'll have, it depends on how strong you are positionally and how big a utility you are. You could go out there with 3 names potentially that if that player goes down, as soon as the staff goes out to get him, boom, get up off your seat, go and start warming up. That's how it usually works. Like, you just have to pay attention. You have to be watching the game. You can't be talking about hot tub bubbles and Pep. You got to be watching the game and see, oh shit, this is potential for me to go out there because of this guy going down. Based on the game plan, I got to be ready. He wasn't. He wasn't ready, and Motta was on him for it. It's like, dude, like, come on, get your shit. What, you don't have shinnies? You're looking for gloves or whatever. Like, it's not that cool. Like, get ready. Let's go. It's symbolic of where we're really at. Like, that you can't even, like, guys aren't even ready or focusing or, like, next man up, get ready to get out there. It looks amateurish. That's how I looked at it. I didn't look at it as anything like this media is turning into, but I looked at it as amateurish. You agree?
Completely. I completely agree. Yeah, in my experience as well, you're always ready on the bench. Like, you never know when you're going to be put in. Like, at that level too, like, I feel like, it's also a really intense game. So I think that plays a role too in terms of like emotions and everything. Moto's probably like, come on, like, I need you to be ready. He needs everybody on board, right? It takes the entire squad to get through a game like that. And I felt like, yeah, it was symbolic of how the team approached that game in general, especially the second half. Like, it was unsurprising that they would just be not ready. But I also think that whole situation is just kind of the catalyst for like these rumblings of Motta Cambiaso issues that I've just seen around the last few months, honestly, ever since that ankle injury.
Yeah.
And I think that you can spin a narrative however you want it. I mean, whether you want to say that Motta and Cambiaso are actually having issues because he went from starting every game to now becoming a player that comes off the bench. Or, maybe it's just his ankle injury that he's having trouble. He can't play full 90s and Motta feels like he wants to use him off the bench. We don't know, right? But you can make a narrative out of anything. So I feel like that situation was maybe blown out of proportion because of these underlying issues that I think people are maybe trying to guess at between Motta and Cambiaso. Whether they're real or not, we don't know. But that's just kind of my take on it as well.
Yeah. And Paolo, what do you think? Looks kind of amateurish or what?
Yeah, I think Lex nailed it. And I think it's symptomatic of what's been going on between the players, the coaching staff, even Giuntoli to some extent this year. There's been this ongoing sense of miscommunication, disconnect, small issues that should be nothing being something, no information being shared, so people have to speculate, rifts between players, the whole Danilo thing. So there's something going on in that locker room, I guess, and it's just another example of somebody not paying attention. And it seems impossible in Champions League game for Cambiaso laughing to whomever talking and not paying attention to what's going on in front of him. It's surprising.
And to add on to this, after the defeat, after something like this goes on, you see Yildiz in the media. You see Yildiz in the media, and they're taking this benching thing, and they're going to a level immediately after that game where he wants out. He wants to leave Juve. He's unsettled. He's not happy. He's not happy with sitting, etc. and whatnot. And they're just running wild. They're just running wild with this Yildiz thing. There were certain outlets that said, no, he's fine. He's fine there. So, who do you believe? But here's the thing that gets me. I'm sick and tired of Juve kind of sitting around doing nothing while media controls and dictates the narrative. While you have a key objective that you stated earlier on in the year that was missed, which was reach round of 16 in Champions League, and you offer nothing in terms of fan service to your supporters, and you let them run wild with this narrative, and you let your fan base stew and wallow in this Italian media disaster, and you're not backing your players in doing that. You're letting Motta go and face the music and pressers, and he's the last guy I would choose to do it based on his words on Yildiz, saying that if he's not playing, it's because someone else deserves it. Someone else that had a fever and was ill prior that you use, that said you were forced to make a sub in the game. Listen, man, shut the fuck up. Juve needs to start showing a little bit of fan service and like just offer a little bit of transparency. The silence, I've never understood it, and I think it's garbage. Protect your players, protect your assets, and Yildiz is one of those key guys. Don't let them face the music. Protect them. Make them feel, wow, this team's got me. Even if you actually don't and you do plan on selling them regardless, show them that. Offer that. I'm sick and tired of it. They are so quick to accept record sales on third retro edition kits, Adidas original kits. You love taking the money. Offer a little bit of fucking service in return. And that's my rant. You guys take it from there. Agree, disagree, fire away. Fire away. Why don't we start with Paulo on this one before we get to Lex?
A while ago, Motta. Now, I've stopped listening to this guy. I don't want to hear this guy talk anymore. I'm just fed up of everything he says. I think he talks a lot of nonsense. But he came out and said that they weren't obsessed with winning. We all remember that. Since that day when he got completely trashed for saying that, he said the word win numerous times every time he opened his mouth. So it's kind of predictable. His reaction was predictable. We've had these issues all year with this communication gap between the organization and the fan base. And like you said, aptly, when media starts to create their own stories, that's where you have the big problem. And Agnelli or somebody like that would probably quash this thing earlier and reset everybody and how they manage stories, how they manage weekly pressers or issues like player conflicts, whatever. It's been mismanaged, and I wouldn't put it on Motta to sort things out because he makes a mess of everything in front of the microphone.
Yeah, and just in general, like, I know you got temps up there and stuff, but like, you have to be present after a key objective is missed. Somebody needs to speak to it. Like, you don't let media control your narrative. Lex, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, you both nailed it. Absolutely. I think the club, we need to hear more from them because especially for a club like Juve, the media will use that opportunity to go on about whatever narrative they're trying to push. I wanted to speak on the Yildiz situation a little bit because I just think that Yildiz is someone that we protect. The club needs to protect because I'm concerned about how the club is handling him. Because I think that a player like that of his caliber can quite easily find another club to go play for. And then our club would lose out both financially because he wouldn't be at his peak yet. So even if you did want to sell him, I don't want to, but if you did, you would do that in the future. be, you would lose out on a player you could essentially build your team around.
This is, and I got it all, but I think it's breaking up a bit with some connection issues there.
Okay.
But Lex, if you want to jump out and then jump back in, I might even get you to go through it again because it was actually fantastic and it was great points. So we'll try and get Lex to do that just because I think it was breaking up a bit there. But yeah, like I mean, the whole Yildiz thing again, going back to assets and protecting them, and just again, not opening yourself up to situations you might not want to be in from a club's perspective with those set assets. Meanwhile, you have them doing it with Chico Conceição as well and creating something that may not necessarily be there. As Mirko Di Natale shared that he debunked essentially all the rumors that were there around potentially not re-signing Kalulu, potentially not re-signing Conceição. And he said they're 100% like in the plans to finalize. He said we are already pretty much pot committed to Conceição because it's only going to be another 20 million on top of that loan, which actually goes to that. And Juve has first crack at that release clause. But media runs wild. And Motta spoke to that too, even with Chico, saying that, yeah, he's young. Yeah, his decision making, I agree. It's not great. We've talked about it. Well, you've talked about it for this many months. It's February 22nd. Like, let's make this happen. That is a good, strong player there that has an incredible amount of potential. I'm still for keeping Chico Conceição, 100%. 100%. I see failures across the board because if it's not Chico, it's Mbangula sometimes trying to do too much. It's Yildiz trying to do too much. It's Nico Gonzalez tripping on his own feet because the system sucks. So you've got guys out there getting the most out of what they have, overachieving. And we can't even reach a base minimum level, and none of our players are good enough. I fail to believe that. Chico, I'm a keep. I'm a retain. 100%. You still there, Paulo?
Yeah, sorry, I was just listening and I was thinking about what you were saying. I find it discouraging when you're trying to think about your team's game plan for their upcoming match. You're getting excited about watching it. You're anticipating how it might go. You're looking at the table, etc. And you have these kind of little riffs going on in the background between coaches, players, the players' brands, the coach trying to restate their position, no clear explanation for the way things are going, and it's really distracting. I think it's kind of irresponsible the way they're handling all their stories, handling all their players. And for example, any contract issues or any jeopardy with Chico or Yildiz or anything should be easily settled so that you don't have a vindictive media in Italy going after Juve. Because as Juventini, we know we're always the target, right? We're an easy target and we're always the target. And you can't provide opportunities like this to get players upset, to get players reading stuff, believing stuff, trying to reply to things that they shouldn't, and have the coach fumble his way through an explanation, which Motta's not good at. So they've got to clean it up. It's been like this all year, and it's just dangerous.
Lex, we carried on. We went to Chico Conceição. Media is running wild with that. Fans are split. A lot of fans are saying we're not going to retain him anymore. We should not, retain him anymore. I still say I retain him. Do you want to see that deal finalized and still keep him?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I would still keep him. I think he's young still, so I think that's also something to consider as well. Like, I know he's come under criticism, but I think just a couple refinements in his game, especially regarding some decision making and maybe releasing the ball a little sooner. But I think he offers an interesting profile for the team that we haven't seen in a while. So I really like him. So I do hope we keep him. I think he offers a lot.
So George comes up with, and this is the concern. This is the main concern around Chico Conceição, and that is that decision making is probably the hardest thing to improve on a player. And this exact statement and thought is why many have actually decided that we shouldn't jump in on Conceição. I want to use your experience as a player at the level you're at and everything. Have you had a coach try to assist you on decision making ever, Lex, and address that?
Um, yes. I think that is always something coaches always wanting you to do, like whether it's make a different decision than the one you made. But I will say that that's a key difference. Usually it's to just change the decision that you made in that moment, not so much because like you feel like you naturally aren't inclined to make a good decision. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's a good argument to say that maybe it is a bit inherent. I think maybe with like football IQ, it's kind of like either sometimes you have it or you don't. Like, not everybody's a Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In terms of my play style, for me, it's always been more inherent decision making and whatnot because I'm just a playmaker. That's my style. But maybe Chico's brain works a little differently. So I don't know. I think that maybe if we can get him to do things like release the ball a little sooner, like if you phrase it that way instead, because I don't think we need him to become a playmaker. I think we just need to sometimes in certain situations ask him to do something different.
I don't think there's anything he does that I haven't seen that style player do a million times, which is if you're
Yeah.
a strong dribbler, you're pacey and whatnot, these guys take their man on. Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't back away from taking on several players.
Mhm.
And they all get themselves into that trouble. Like, again, coming down to the system, like, what do you want them ultimately to do? Do you want them to be crossers, beating their guys? And where do you want them to be looking? Back post? Do you want them to be putting it at the spot? Do you want them to hit a trailer? Like, what's the direction? What's the whole thing look like? Motta did say he wants him to start shooting more when he's got lanes and everything, but I think there's a lot of it. Some of these guys like to get in there and then work a 1-2 and receive the ball and look to score themselves. But they all have that certain thing. Like, if you're a dribbler, usually that's your game and you look to implement it. If you're, this a vision, kind of like a maestro in the midfield, like
Mhm.
envisions your game. Spreading the ball around is your game, and like you could see things other players can't. Like, it's all about the traits, but I don't necessarily think like we need to ship him off because he's one of those guys. No, you kind of need one of those guys. What you don't need is a team full of them, which we have now because it doesn't work together.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Bert. I was gonna. You guys have made some great points, and I think I want to talk a little bit about the personality too. I don't think it helps that I feel with the way Mota's got these guys going, they're a bit disconnected, and the system isn't being picked up or being executed properly. But when Conceição first came on, he did his first presser, and people were kind of surprised at how low key he was. He was very direct, said very little, and almost seemed angry. So if you look at the personality of a player, he seems like a very intense player, a very serious player, right? And so that's part of what impacts his decision making and his style. And I think it really impacts the burden or the obligations he feels as a player out there when things are going well or not going well. And you see him score some great goals and almost take the responsibility on himself. And I think he's the type of guy who feels like he's got to do it all, or he only trusts himself, or he only trusts certain players. Because you saw so many times Savona would make the run behind him, he'd look at him and he'd turn the other way.
yeah,
He does not pass to certain people. Like, that's just a fact. He doesn't always pass, but he also doesn't pass to certain people if he can avoid it. And then against in the Champions League game, you saw him kind of try and hold the ball. Then he cuts and he starts making his way into the middle, which he never used to do, to find guys in lanes and opportunities to start moving the ball through the middle and up the top.
yeah.
So I think he's an intelligent player and he's a really interesting one. And physically, he's very dangerous and he's got a lot of skill. But His IQ, I think, is there. His personality is interesting, and I think that's a part of a player that you may not be able to coach them to have a different
Mhm.
personality, but sometimes
Yeah.
a system can help get them to do what you want them to do more than not.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the stories of certain coaches. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've played through it that would shut down like training sessions, like by the spot and be like, no, no, no. And to drill it in. To drill it into certain guys, like that's not what I need. Like that's not what I want to see there. And it's a disaster. It's a nightmare. It's annoying as a player to go through a
Mhm.
training session like that, but I'll be damned if it didn't work after repeated like sessions like that. You started to figure out what the hell this guy wanted, and that was it. You know, Conte actually used to do the same with Juve. He used to shut. He was one of those guys that would blow sessions down immediately. I remember reading all the stories about that, and the players felt the same way as I did just talking about it. They hated it. It was annoying as hell, but whatever. If you're working at something that, like I said, many of you believe it's the hardest thing to change, then it might take an extreme like that to do it, right? But that's a lot better than saying, no, we're done with this guy when he's got such incredible potential.
Mhm.
Like he
Yeah.
literally has one thing to fix.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
He's also very young, and he probably came from a team where he didn't have as many, not stars, but where he was probably more of a feature. And now he's in a situation where he's got to share with these other new players, and he needs to be part of the solution versus the solution when
Yeah.
it comes to a moment on the field.
Now, with moving on from Chico Conceição, because we're talking about our coach, talking about his influence, impact. If top four is not reached, Motta must go. The poll question is out there for the
Yeah.
chat right now. I'm opening it up to you because I've heard this rebuttal. How can you fire somebody in year one if it's something that could come down to just goal differential? Something as simple as that could see him lose his job in year one. Lex, where are you on this situation?
So when we addressed this earlier, like shows in the past, we were more like, okay, let's see how things go in January, whatnot. Okay, we're at the end of February now, and I think I'm a hard yes that if we miss top four, we need to get rid of him because I'm going to say purely because of the competition in the top four race. Like, that is like, I mean, look at the top of the table, unserious, dropping points left and right. I mean, who are we going up against? Lazio, Fiorentina, like, okay, Milan's not even going to be factored into this question. Like, I just think personally that based off of the state of Serie A right now in the top four race, that if we don't get ourselves into top four, that is, I would call it a massive failure on the part of the club, players and coach. Because I mean, what are we talking about? That's how I feel about it personally now.
Matt
But
Matt and Calogero waste no time saying he should go regardless. Like they wasted no time on that. They're like regardless. They're done. It's interesting to try and fight that fight, but I gotta open this one up to Paulo before I put my 2 cents. By the way, the poll is like not much of a poll at all. If top four not reached, 81%. Yes, he has to go. Paulo, are you in the regardless side of things? Like regardless?
Yeah, I kind of fell off the Mota train early, and like I said last episode, I don't want the drama of getting rid of him right now. I don't know who the next coach would be if they do make a change. Whatever happens, it should probably happen in the summer at this point.
Yeah.
And I actually had some empathy for him in my insurmountable amount of frustration with him. I had some empathy with him in that the injury problem at this point, I think it's a hard reality. Like I haven't been ignoring it myself, but I've let it get lost amongst all the other things I'm really annoyed with. Um, but it must be really tough to have continuous injuries. Because when Vega went down, I said, I don't know if we ever will see what his Mota ball really should be if he hadn't had the players to execute it for us all year. I'm not going to make an excuse for him, but the injury and the lack of depth, those two issues are for real. But I'm kind of done with him anyway, so unfortunately, it doesn't matter.
This poll has just shattered that discussion. I'll tell you that. 81%. We're gonna just shut that one down. So listen, I think it's incredibly almost ignorant to say that it's crazy to fire a guy because of a goal differential if it came down to that, because it would be ignoring the fact of everything before that. Like, Paolo, you did such a great job our last show because you gave us the laundry list of issues this team has had from the start of the year until now, and we have corrected probably about 0 of them on that list. It's insane. It's 0 consistency in attitude sometimes, even just energy, approach. It's what's going on with these players, like meritocracy that doesn't really necessarily exist, weird starting lineups, no in-game adjustments, no chemistry up top, still struggling to create and score goals. Brought in a new striker. He still doesn't get any service compared to the last guy. We were told we need guys that could create on their own. Our creation is still down. It's a laundry list of things that aren't getting corrected. So whether it comes down to points, it comes down to goal differential, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, you have an objective to reach. And I'm not going to say I say goodbye regardless, but I'm thinking about it. And options that are there at season's end, things will be assessed. He's got it all to prove. And it's February 23rd, everybody. So from here on out, show me what the heck we're looking forward to, basically. And that's where I'm at. And I'm not even one game at a time anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one half at a time. Because we got the consistency of baby shit. Seriously, legit. Like, let's go. Pick it up. Now, speaking of options, Gasperini not renewing with Atalanta. And it's all about this whole thing that most teams don't want to continue with the manager when there's no renewal, even in the final contract year. Remember Allegri? That whole thing, a lot of clubs don't want to do that. So the thought is that Gasperini becomes available this summer. Who wants Gasp? Do you want Gasp? Yes or no? Do you want him if it's Gasp and the juice? Where are you at on Gasperini? Let's start with Lex here. Lex looks terrified. Absolutely terrified, first off. Just a hypothetical. Calm down. It's okay.
Hypothetical. I know I respect Gasperini a lot as a coach and a tactician. I think he's a wizard. It's fantastic. What he's done with Atalanta, I mean, is one of the most inspiring, interesting stories, that's happened in European soccer in recent years, for sure. I love Papu Gomez, Ilicic, the era with Muriel. Yes, love it. Do I want him anywhere near my club? No, thank you. For a couple reasons. Mainly, one, I mean, the guy is volatile and just seems to have a track record of having issues with players, with management. He just seems to have things that, I don't know, it's kind of like his way or the highway. He has a strong system that he implements. I just think that for me, it just doesn't align with Juve personally, but that's just my take. But I do respect him a lot as a coach.
Interesting. A wizard. Gasperini the Great. Here.
Yes.
Paolo, what do you think about old Gasp?
I agree with Lex. He's done a lot of great things. There's qualities about how he gets the players he has to do what they do. hell or high water. And I think it's commendable, but no, I don't want him. I don't want him with Juve.
Yeah, Gasp. So it's funny. Like I see argument. Like I'm a no to Gasperini. Okay, I think this guy is an angry little man. I've seen him take it out on players that deserved way more respect for what they did. Papu Gomez being one of them for Atalanta, and that was shocking to me. But the board, this guy needs a board backing because they always took Gasperini's side. And they did it because he makes them a shit ton of money by doing exactly what he has been doing, which is getting guys to play arguably above their level and sell them off for good money. But the thought process that he would never look, he's never won anything. He won one Europa in like all these years, etc. Well, the thought process is kind of the same that goes into why we signed Thiago Motta, which is you give him more resources, you give him better quality, and it should enhance everything. But it doesn't always work like that. And the way I saw him go at Lookman for a fucking PK when your team got piped in the first half for 3 goals or whatever, and he came on and scored immediately, and then the story comes out that your actual designated PK taker told him to take it, you look like an absolute asshat. Gasp. So if you want to come to Juve, bring those syringes and head over to J Medical. That's the perfect building for you. But otherwise, okay? And I'll never forget that clip after the Champions League defeat coming out after Lookman. I think I still have some of the sound. I think I got it. Oh, there it is. There's Gasp right there. Ass hat. No, it's a no to Gasperini, okay? Jesus. Now, we'll keep things rolling, though. This whole coaching change thing, again, like, has fans fired up because they said, look, you're not going to give this guy a year. This is like us turning into Man United. I'm going to be quite honest. You can look at this at both sides. But is it knowing what you want? Is it going after that? Is it setting standards? Is it applying standards? What is the point of objectives if you can miss them and be like, well, it's like nobody sets an objective and says, but it's only 1 year. No, like our objectives are also weak, by the way. Top 4? You can't reach top 4 with this squad. We've had 17 points so far that we've lost from winning positions. You know where that puts us if you even get half of those? A lot more comfortable in the table. So, and that's with these injuries and everything. We've dropped those points. So I don't want to hear that it's unfathomable to think that this team, like reaching top 4 is something crazy. It isn't. Look at the results outside. It's like nobody wants top 4 in Serie A. They're dropping games all over the place. It looks like a clown show out there. Like, seriously, it's a shit show. It's like you can't qualify for top 4 in this Serie A, and I'm supposed to take you seriously carrying the torch for years on? Fuck that. I'm not with it. No. Speaking of getting the job done, it's Cagliari today. Come on. Let's go. But Cagliari has created some issues for some decent sides. According to Thiago Motta, he kind of pissed some fans off by saying this is going to be a complicated match. And people are like, why the fuck is a game like Cagliari complicated? Well, take a look at this season. Everything is complicated. Okay? Cagliari will be looking for their 7th win of the season. Okay? They've won 6 games all year so far. Home team are just 5 points clear of the drop zone. Okay? They're going to look to maintain that buffer. For us, we can get 4 straight wins in Serie A for the first time this season. Okay? In league play after dropping that one to PSV. I still have Achita. Cagliari have only managed to accumulate 25 points in their 25 outings. Okay? Have been extremely inconsistent. And, well, most feel they're going to have to punch over their weight to get the job done today. Their manager has no fresh injury concerns to worry about heading into this game. What we're expecting to see is not this, hopefully. Jesus. 4-5-1, they call it, or you could call it a 4-4-1-1. You could call it a 4-4-2, but the midfield is going to be stacked. You getting Achita, everybody? You probably should, because this leads to problems usually for Juventus. But there they have it. You got Caprile in goal, Zappa, who's actually decent. He's actually interesting to watch. He's a fun watch.
That right side, actually, watch out for.
Zortea. Zappa, yeah. You're right. Yarimina, oh my God. And Vlahovic set to start. Here we go again, round 2. Last one, Yarimina really got into his head. Funny enough, remember that game and who went at him? Got in his face? Our youngster, Kenan Yildiz. Our youngster was actually going at him and getting in his face and standing his ground more so than Dushan. I remember that vividly. Luperto, Ogello, round out the back line for them. As we talked about, that right side, Zortea. Adopo, Macumbo, and then Felici round out the midfield with Viola and Piccoli up top. So that's what we're expecting to see. This is going to be shut down the flanks, force through the middle. We've seen it a million times. So for us, there are some critical positions. And this is what we have, according to Giovanni Albanese, who has been nailing these. Unlike anything else he's put out, but nails these lineups. Di Gregorio, Wea, Gatti, Lord, Braun, Kelly, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Thuram, McKennie in the 10, Conceição, Imbangula, and Vlahovic. How do we feel about this going into this game? Paolo, kick us off, then we'll get Lex. Your thoughts on the lineup?
Well, the defense, you don't have many options there. Hopefully Cambiaso's fit and can play 90 minutes or close to. I like Luca, Thuram being there. I want to see Yildiz on the field. We'll see. I don't like the formation, but it is what it is. I mean, it's another Motta. I love my pants. They're brand new. Look, I'll wear them every day until there's holes in them.
Lex, what do you think about this lineup? Is there anything you would change? So obvious one, Paolo wants Yildiz in. Lex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I like it. I'm like seeing Thuram back in the starting 11. I was missing him there, so I'm glad he's there. No Coop Miners, which is refreshing. I like that. Cambiaso back in the starting 11 would also be nice. I think, aside from that, aside from wanting Yildiz there, I think that I like it. Hopefully it works.
Yeah. I think, like, what I'm expecting in this game is us to control the ball predominantly, and I don't think that's crazy to think about. I think they're preparing for it with a 4-5-1 setup, etc. I'd move Locatelli to center back. I really would. I think McKennie needs to be playing, though, and I wouldn't have a fear of playing him next to Thuram, even though I don't necessarily see McKennie as a pivot midfielder, but I'd have no fear in doing that because this is a game to get a playmaker up top through the middle. You're going to need it. You're going to need it today because the flanks are going to be tough to come by, and you're going to be putting these guys in positions that we have been shitting on them for, which is them trying to do way too much, because that's exactly what this game is going to look like. It's going to be give it out to the wingers and hope, and I don't want to see it.
I mean, Yildiz in the 10 would be nice today. Will we see it?
It would be fantastic, and it's a game that
Probably
makes sense
not.
for it. it would make sense for it.
Mm-hmm.
But for Mozza, I don't know.
Cagliari
is it
going to be
Thiago
running
Motta
fast.
or is it Thiago Mozza today? We find out.
Thiago. They're going to be Juve's going to be facing a fast opponent. They're going to run their butts off. They're going to be going 120 miles an hour the whole game. They're going to be at home. They're going to be fired up. They're going to look for turnovers, opportunities. They're going to outwork you and find a way to win that way. If we move the ball too slowly, if we don't have any possession and any control, and if we leave everything wide open like we have been for, in my opinion, most of the season, this team's going to run all over us. And next thing you know, you're down 1-0 after 10, 15 minutes. So I'm really worried about the formation, the style of play, and how you handle a really aggressive, young, active team who has nothing to lose. It's not Motta's opponent. He doesn't like people to force his hand.
I just think that, like, when you're looking at this, like, this is I get it, it's Cagliari, but it's crunch time. Like, you have little room for error. So I go to the guys that I trust. Like, that's why I say I don't necessarily see McKennie as a pivot midfielder, but you know what? He has to be on the pitch. If Cambiaso's coming on to the left, I don't have that trust in Lloyd Kelly right now. I may never gain it, but that's a different story. Put Luca back there. Get Yildiz in as a 10. Like, let's go. Cook something up. And this goes back into game planning, because we'll see how the game plays out ultimately. We'll be doing that together on the watch along, and we'll see. Because if it ends up going to the wings and we're hoping that they make it all happen, I'm going to be incredibly frustrated. If it gets jam-packed in the midfield and then some of McKennie's technical shortcomings come to fruition, I'll be very pissed off, because it would represent yet another game where people sitting at home can fucking call shots before they happen, but the guys that need to for Juve don't seem to see it or don't seem to want to react to it for whatever reason. We'll see. Now, we get to key stats. We're going to set the Tony with the official, and then we're going to do predictions and get to storm the barn. So, your key stats going into this one. The old lady will be looking to record consecutive away wins in the league for the first time this season. We haven't had back-to-back away wins this season. What? Motta out! Just kidding. The last two leagues meetings between Juve and Cagliari have ended in a draw. That stinks. Might have draw written all over this one. The home team have only won one out of their last 26 league matches against Juve, dating back to 2010. Wow. And Davide Nicola's team will be eyeing consecutive home wins in the league, something they have not been able to manage since the end of 2023. Madonna mia. When we get to the official, Andrea Colombo will be the official. A ton of Serie A experience with a whopping 40 matches called, okay? 5.4 yellows per game, 7 reds, 6 PKs in those 40 matches. Not a lot to go on, not a lot of experience in there, so it's an interesting one. But with that, it comes down to put our money where our mouth is and predictions. Final score, 2 tiebreakers. Paolo, kick us off, my man.
I'm worried about this game. I'm still, I think, realizing I'm a bit traumatized after getting kicked out of the Champions League the way we did. I'm just starting to feel it again now. So I'm feeling a bit anxious. I think this is a draw. I think we've salvaged a point out of this. So I'm going to say 2-2.
All right.
I want Kelly to score on a header from a set piece.
Wow.
Kelly goal call.
Jeez.
I know. I'm just cheering for this kid because I don't. Anyway, I'm just cheering for him because your weakest link, you have to find a way to make it your strongest. And then I guess there's going to be probably 7 yellows because I think it's going to be very physical. There's going to be a lot of guys falling down.
All right. Got 2-1, 2-0, 1-1, 2-0, 1-1. We got a 3-1 call in here. Let's go. We got a 0-0 snooze fest. Lex, where are you at?
Wow. Well, this game smells like a 1-1 draw. Like it's just there in the cards. But I'm going to be positive today, right? Because we're being positive, right, Paul? So
I forgot.
Oh, are we? Oh, my God. My bad. My bad.
I wanted to be, and then I got anxiety.
I don't call it negative, though. I call it realistic. So I'll leave it at that.
I'm going to go with 2-1 Juve today. And it's going to be a Dusan goal. And one more tiebreaker. I'm going to say Yildiz gets subbed on in the 72nd minute.
All right. The Yildiz sub.
He seems to like making subs late like that, so we'll see.
All right. I agree with everything that you have said. I believe it reeks of a draw. But I'm always more on the optimistic side on match day. And I think we, in classic Juve fashion, we can never have anything nice, people. So this is not going to be convincing, okay? If you think it's going to be a convincing win, I'd be shocked. I will take it all day and love every second of it. But no, this is going to be some shithouse garbage own goal 2-1 victory for Juve, or maybe get a PK that seals it. But I legitimately think we will squeak this one out 2-1 in the ugliest of fashions. I'll take the 3 points, but it will not be convincing, and we will still be left asking all the same questions around the players and Thiago Motta, and we'll do it again next week. So that's my call. 2-1 for Juve, and I believe I'm going to go with... I actually think Mbangula gets our first goal this game. And I think that I think we're going to get like a shithouse Gatti goal, like late to fucking win it. Again, just taking matters into his own hands. Maybe it's a set piece and he just is that bull in the china shop that just breaks it all down and gets it. So I'm going to say Gatti for that second and Mbangula. And yeah, Gatti, by the way, while getting shit on a lot, how many combinations has he played with at the back? Because he has played steady. And it's just like, I hate to see a guy like this get ravaged, no matter if you think, and we could agree somewhat that, yeah, he's not the best. He is not maybe typically under most of our rosters a 1A option. But guys like him are what Juve has been built on amongst the ranks. And this guy has had to deal with the shit show around him of like Savona, now to Weah as a right back, to Lloyd Kelly, to Renato Vega, newcomer, in which he had a good partnership with. Bremer going down with an ACL. Kalulu, who was grabbing hot dogs in the stands during key pivotal moments that led to goals for us. Cambiaso going through Brute, like, and through it all, he's played every single friggin' minute. And he's still there, fighting the fight, showing the drive, showing the attitude. And guys that have been rested for games don't give you a moment like he did when he bull rushed that charge that led to the goal that we scored off that McKennie rocket in the first match against PSV. You've got guys on fresh legs that don't give you those moments. Stop fucking hating the guy and just realize that he doesn't have to be the 1A, but he's coming in big, because without him, we'd actually be fucked. Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to get that off my chest because I see way too much hate for this guy.
Well said. One of your assets is your availability. And in this case, I mean, without him as a pillar in the back, I don't know what we would have done this season, honestly.
Yeah, like it's crazy. It's just like, okay, yeah, you surrender some quality or whatever. You maybe don't like the way he is on the ball all the time, but you know what? Holy hell.
I agree, Bert. And I think what's really important, what you're saying there's a couple of things, but in particular, during some of these hard times, right? A lot of fans have responded, and they can, you can respond however you want, right? As a fan, that's your right. But a lot of fans have responded by pointing the finger at Gatti. Oh, Gotti's shit. We got to get rid of him. He's not good enough for Juve. Lloyd Kelly's garbage. Get him out of there. He's the reason we're losing. It's too easy to point it at one player, and it's really discouraging to have a team in a situation where the fans are identifying one player as the reason you lose, because of course it's not. And Gotti's got a huge heart. And a couple of, I think last week or the week prior, you were asking the channel, would you go with Hansko or Vega?
Yeah.
And I think I said both. And if you're going to play 4 at the back, you got to have 8 available to play at the back. And you've got to have more than 2 strong center backs. So Bremer or not, you're still short. Good starting center backs. You have to have depth there. So I think we need to get more players so people can appreciate Gatti. People can, he can do his thing because he's a great character guy. And you're not relying on him or Lloyd Kelly to get 3 points because that's unrealistic. And we need depth. And God bless Gatti.
Yeah, it's just this crazy thing that it's like, good one day, shit the next. We got to get rid of them. No, keep them, lock them up. And it's just like we go through these waves. And that's why I say with media controlling the narrative, just pump the brakes, everybody. Chico scores a big winner against Inter. Hey, we love this guy. Let's go. And then, literally the next game, get rid of this guy. He's shit. It's like, no, let's just gamma. But, I can sympathize with everybody for that because the performances are so Jekyll and Hyde all season that naturally it will bleed down to the fan base. We have been waiting for a turnaround forever throughout this entire season, and we get Jekyll and Hyde, so we don't even know. We don't even know. Are these guys good? Are the players all at fault? Is this coach worth sticking on? We don't know because it's been Jekyll and Hyde, so now, therefore, here we are. Bipolar, just like our bipolar Juve. All right, so hopefully that's not the case today, and we could be straightforward, put in together a full 90. Fingers crossed. Let's go. But I had to get that off my chest with Gatti. In terms of Motta and his words on Yildiz with this whole, if he's not playing, he doesn't deserve it, or someone else deserves to. When I talk about controlling the narrative, that's kind of exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And whether we found the last guy annoying, which he was, and he had his own shortcomings, he did protect his players quite well. Mm-hmm. And that was one thing I always gave him credit for. I almost turned it into a negative because I was like, man, you're almost making babies out of them because he protected them so much. There's like a fine line. But right now, get your shit together, boys. Let's go. Now, storm the barn. If we win today, can we dream Scudetto since we are out of Champions League? I said pump the brakes even before, okay? And I'm going to say pump the brakes now. I just literally said, like, we're taking this one half at a time. And now we're talking like, whoa. I think we're all on the same page. Lex, pump the brakes.
Yeah. I like the optimism.
But Alex, Juve, whatever's in your coffee this morning, please let me know because I like it, okay? But and dreaming's free. It's free to dream.
True.
And Bert, there's on the top of Mount Everest, I don't know if you know this fact, but there's a little hut And if you get to the top, you can see the smoke coming out, but it's really hard to find. And there's a man there who lives there. His name's Skanga, and he has many wise words. And one of them was that he predicted all the teams in the top four would fall and start to drop points. So to that last storm the barn, you never know if these guys keep losing and tying, and we put together a string of wins, going like a 10-game win streak, we could be 5 points out of first. Who knows? They're positive, see?
Everything revolves around Skanga in some way, shape, or form. It always comes back to him. I had no idea where you were going, and I love that. But you're right, and he, in turn, was right. They're all dropping. Like I said, we got favorable results. Who knows? But let's see what happens. That was fantastic. What a fantastic delivery. But pump the brakes nonetheless. Come on. What are Alexa's thoughts on the fact that her favorite player weaves some magic against Porto?
Oh man, it was just like throwback Dybala. Like, what a beautiful match. I was happy.
But he hasn't been performing as good as Pulisic over these past couple seasons. I saw Lex have a meltdown. We had a health check on Lex in our chat after seeing somebody tweet that to her. Oh my God, that was fun.
I accidentally created a Calcio Twitter war, but it's okay. I do that occasionally. But yes, thank you for asking. I was very happy.
Calcio Twitter unmatched. What was the last big splash signing that worked out? Return on investment has been so poor. Higuaín, the beginning of our downfall. Delict, Ronaldo, Vlahovic. See, this is interesting because I don't see Higuaín as a failure.
No. Yeah.
That guy did his job and everything, and he would have had more time with us if it wasn't for Ronaldo.
Yeah. I would just point out the Ronaldo signing. Just boom. Start the downfall.
And even when we talk about the Ronaldo thing, it's also like the circumstances. Like Ronaldo without COVID, probably a lot different than Ronaldo with COVID, loss of revenue, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said after, like, I think it was the Ronaldo, I'm like, man, and then Vlahovic, it's like, I think our threshold is the 50 to 60 million mark because you can recoup a much safer manner, and these big splashes, like, it just ain't our way because we don't have the luxury of missing and brushing it off like Real Madrid. Like they can take stabs on an 80 million Tchouaméni, and if he doesn't hit potential, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. We can't do that.
True. I agree. And going off of a comment about the Ronaldo thing that I pointed out, I would just like to say I mentioned his signing because of the falling out it created with upper management. I feel like that's where I point to with a lot of issues beginning because Pepe Marotta disagreed with the signing of Ronaldo, created left.
Yeah.
That's why.
So it's not the player, it's the moment, it's the situation, it's everything. And that's fair because a lot have pointed to the loss of Pepe Marotta actually being where it all kind of started.
What I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Paulo, what do you think about these big signings?
I was really excited when Ronaldo came, and I think I was excited at the prospect of him solving our Champions League problems. And it didn't quite happen, but
yeah,
I don't know. The money can't be spent that way anymore by almost any club. There's a couple of clubs, like there's people who go play for Madrid for half price just to play there, and Madrid will wait for someone's contract to end, knowing that they don't have to go and buy them. They'll say, no, I'm going to wait till my contract's up so I can walk over to Madrid.
Yeah.
So that money just doesn't make sense in today's market. Those are old. That's all in the past now.
Swarit asking, how did the idea of the AJC actually begin? Well, it all started with my first trip to Turin to watch Juve play. I was there at the match against Milan where Bonucci made his return and sellied in front of us. Dybala scored in 8 minutes. Bonucci equalized, and I even called it before the game. I was like, he's scoring. He's scoring. And he sellied there. And then the goal scorers to win it, Khedira and Cuadrado scored in that game. It was 3-1. But I took the stadium tour. I did everything, and I was speaking to people from all over the world, like about Juve and stuff, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. And small town I'm in, there's not much Serie A love or whatnot. I'm surrounded by Prem heads. Yeah, you feel for me? Yeah, you should. But anyways, I wanted to carry it on, and somebody told me, well, you should jump on like Twitter. Twitter's great for communities around like any sports team, whatever. And then from there, I found some podcasts, etc. But I felt it wasn't like, I don't know. I was like, I'd like to start one, but I'd like to like not just like open it up to fans everywhere. And that's where it started. It was just audio. It was myself, and it was inviting fans from all across the world to just come in and just talk Juve. And then it caught on. And once it caught on, I was like, hey, these guys, we should lock into a team that we always have guests and are able to do some. And now it's just picked up steam. We started in 2018, just me and a microphone. And now we got a team of like 12, 13 of us. And we have a lot of the army that wants to join in there. And it's fantastic. Like even Paolo, Scanga, Trim, all these guys that are coming in, they're just like, hey, I want to be a part of it. I love it. We've also got like members of the army that are going to jump in. We got Massimo coming up post-match tomorrow. Long-time supporter, wants to come in and jump in. Absolutely. I had a young lad, Nick Rossi. Shout out to him. Check him out on Instagram. Talented musician, Juventino. All right. Trying to get his band into the Warp Tour. Go reach out and vote for his band. Let's get a Juventino in Van's Warp Tour. All right. But he's going to make a spot on here. So I love it. And I always make sure I take the time to just thank all you guys. But that's how it all started. That's it. Just something so simple. Something so simple. Storm the Barn. Allegri. And hey, remember, did you see that video or the picture of him chilling out on the couch in his sweaties and turtleneck, just watching Juve PSV there, second leg? Oh, man. You know what? That guy, fuck, man, he took a lot of shit. I mean, the play, he didn't have balance, and I will agree with everybody there, but like, he took a lot of shit, and I gave him a lot of shit too. But I'm giving Motta a lot of shit too, so I'm keeping it level. Any shit I dished out to Pirlo, Sarri, Allegri, I'm dishing the same to Motta. I have expectations, and if it's not happening, there you are. Pirlo should have never got the gig. I love the guy, and it's why I'm saying now, if we're looking at guys like Palladino, like Italiano, etc. Easy, Lax, easy. If we're looking at these guys, for me, I said it last live, I'm going to stay consistent. I'm done with these experiments. I want somebody with a CV. I want somebody with an actual CV. So while I understand that a guy like Zidane, he might not be your builder, but he's got esteem. He's got, if he was willing to accept, I probably would do it, to be honest. But I would be looking at guys like Didier Deschamps. Even if you don't like the way he plays, he sees the game in the right manner. He doesn't care about player management. If it's a young guy or it's an ego, he can handle them all. I'd be looking at guys like Deschamps, like Zizou. Conte, if all of a sudden ADL's behind bars and that team gets relegated, yes, I'm wishing. But if that happens, Conte, it's got to be in the mix. Even though I hate returns, his build status is unmatched. And the kicker for me this year is that he even swapped out of a 3-5-2 because he knew he couldn't play it. Get me somebody that has results. Period. To their name. That's it. In coaches. Do you guys agree? Or do you want to see that up and comer still again? I feel like we're chasing this game on the pitch, and we're missing some of the fundamentals, that it just comes down to results. And I feel like we're chasing like what we want the game to look like on the field. And I think like maybe we got caught in that for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say like beyond like even performance on the field, like in terms of style of play, looking for a coach that's like willing to set a foundation in terms of from the intangibles, such as like what are the core values, what's the mentality of the group. Like I think those types of things, and maybe a really good man manager would also benefit, I think, the group as well. So I think those are the things that I'm looking for, especially in a coach. I think that maybe that's something that's been missing in recent years. But yeah, someone that's setting the foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I would love to see a coach that any big club in the world would love to have. I want to get one of the top 5 coaches on the planet to coach our team. One with experience, can handle the media, can handle the players, no funny business. I want us to have the best possible coach available. That's what we deserve. And what's interesting too is with the kind of the way the lineups come together and the loans we have and the Vlahovic going and maybe a couple of other players moving, this summer would allow, if it was to happen, a new coach coming in, a chance to tweak the lineup, to bring in some more players. We have a lot of empty space on that bench. So there is a great opportunity for someone new to come in and help build something in the vision of maybe where they want it to go combined with where they want to take the team. So there's a big opportunity here. I want the best. I want us to get the best.
That's a really good point, is that
at
if
any
something
price
were to go down and we're looking actively at 4 players or whatnot, like it gives them a good base to kind of start in there. Yeah, it's, and again, hey, hopefully Motta just picks up and we're red hot and we're fired down the wire here and we stop talking about this. But the reality is right now he's walking a tightrope, I think, when it comes to his position. Let's see what happens. This club is in autopilot until changes at the ownership level occur. Agnelli, for example. Therefore, we shouldn't expect any significant achievements until then. True or false? Pierre's always got a solid Storm the Barn. Every damn show, man. I love the Storm the Bars. Not that everybody else's are weak, but like Pierre's always got one that's kind of just off there, and I appreciate it. True or false that we are in autopilot until something happens at that level?
I'd say it feels like we are. I think it feels like we're on autopilot. I'd say more or less, yeah, I would say it's true, because I really do believe that this success starts at the top. I really do. I think that once everybody's on the same page, ownership that maybe knows a bit more about culture and has those aspirations, like Agnelli did, for all his faults, he really did love Juve and really wanted success for the club. So yeah, I would say that that's true, because I really, like I said, it starts at the top.
Paulo, true or false?
I think ownership is the problem, but I would suspect maybe Giuntoli's got the keys to everything right now, and above and below there's no other influence. And I think he's got a lot of control. So I think ownership is the problem, potentially, without someone like Agnelli. But someone has to be over Giuntoli doing something. So we need somebody in there. So I don't know if it's autopilot, but I think it is ownership. And I think we're very wayward right now as an organization, very wayward. It's very dangerous.
It's interesting because it's like, if you get it right on the pitch and everything's working and gelling, I mean, if we don't believe in the guys up top, you could still see achievements. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like, whose vision are we chasing right now? Mm-hmm. Is this Giuntoli's? Is this Motta'S? Is it the two of them together? Like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know. You have a coach that says at the start of the year that he's been involved in the mercado all summer. And then he's asked, did we say goodbye to players you want to keep? He's like, oh yeah, I asked to keep guys and they sold them anyways. You were in on the market the whole way, so what difference does it make? It's like, I'm not really sure who's got the lead here. Like, whose lead are we following? Meanwhile, there's nobody answering to anything. Going back to our point about offering some transparency, some type of fan service, it's like, who's guiding this ship right now? You know, like, who's guiding it? Who's guiding it? Whose baby is this? Nobody's saying anything. You're letting everyone control the narratives. Does it create problems down the line? We talked about protecting your players, protecting your assets. We've treated people like shit in saying goodbyes all this season. Mm-hmm. It's got weird vibes written all over it. You got players making strange comments on social media to other players on this team. You've got, it just looks a mess. You've got players sitting on the sideline of a second leg Champions League game that seemingly is more interested in the conversation he's fucking having than getting ready to step on the field for an injured player. You don't have your shin pads. You're not fucking ready. Like, what are we doing? So I think at the end of the day, it goes back to the coach too. Like, I'm not putting this all on him, but I'm saying, if you want to get serious as a club, hire a serious fucking coach. Like, if you're a big club, you're Juve, whatnot, and anybody that says, no, he should not be fired just because of a top four, bullshit. Set the tone, set standards, and live by them. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they continue to slide. And right now, I see too much shit sliding and trying to get swept under the rug until what? We have no standards at all? No. I think it does start at the top. But I also think that it starts at the top with Exor. Because we'd had this discussion with Yildiz. If you're ready to sell Kenan Yildiz at a value that I think is going to be too low, then you know what? That's where your ownership needs to step up. If you actually give a shit and you're taking this serious, you say, look, you guys have done an incredible job getting us to minus 32 million. I'm stepping in now because we should not be losing this guy on the pitch. And that's where my problem has. So to say that this question, it's kind of part true and false. I think it's like in between. It all needs work right now. It could all come together. But I lean towards, we need help at the top for it to bleed down into everybody else. Because right now, there's like, anybody that's above Motta seems to not matter to me. Or Giuntoli, excuse me. Anybody above Giuntoli right now is either non-existent or just doesn't matter. And that's a problem for me. That's it. That's where I'm at. You know?
Yeah, so, well said.
Agnelli, the latest is that it's going to be a lot quicker than 2 years for his return. And that little thing with Tether jumping on board apparently has a connection to Agnelli. Apparently that's from Agnelli. So even while not associated with the club, this guy got somebody in. And Calvo still's got no sponsor for us. Incredible. Calvo. Smokes. Let's go. Let's go. Think Napoli will eventually fall into the Champions League mixer after the loss to Como. They haven't been good at all lately, and it feels so much like the second half of Juve last season. Let them all crumble. I don't care, Napoli, Inter, fucking Lazio, let them all crumble. Yeah, the better. There to the Colombian mutt. Yerry Mina. He's getting tased before the first whistle. Love it. Love it. How would you guys feel about Mancini? So his name's come up a lot. Paolo Lex Mancini. Let's say we had to pull the chute. Had to hit eject right now. Mancini?
Well, it's certainly interesting. I think that like if I'm getting Mancini from the Euros, the win, the year we won, I'll be like, sure. I don't know. That's an interesting one. They were brilliant.
He's
I
an
don't know.
option. He's an option.
Didn't he go
he's an
crashing out?
option.
Didn't he go
I
crashing out in Saudi?
Man, he did so well with that Azzurri side, and I liked everything he did. He came in, he
Me
picked the
too.
right guys based on form, based on performances. He didn't give a shit about seniority, didn't give a shit about like all that, but he then fell into the same trap that I think many coaches do, which is favorites. And he played
Hmm.
favorites, and it ended up costing him, I think.
Burning. Yeah.
So it's like it's interesting. It's a tough one. I'm kind of leaning towards no, although yeah, he fits the bill for CV, has a decent CV. I'm still like a no. I I don't know if it's a fit for us. Paulo.
I agree. I was gonna say interesting, and then Lex said interesting, and then you said interesting, but I'm still gonna say interesting. I like his personality, and I like his resume. I don't know if he's the right guy for us, or if he's one of the best in the world to be our coach.
Yeah. Robbie says, "Bring me Mancini with Buffon on his technical staff. Let's go." All right, all right. Interesting, interesting. Think we see Alberto Costa today? I don't know. Wait, I've been ready the entire time. Who knows? Who knows? Mota did speak to him on his presser. He said that he's been impressing everyone in training, and he's sure that he will do well once he gets the opportunity. But who knows when that will be? Who knows? Can Milik save our season? My God, he's finally. Well, the man couldn't trust J Medical. Went back to Poland, started training like an animal. Apparently, he's coming back to Turin. I think he might be back in Turin. I saw a blurb about it. But saving our season. If that happens, I will eat this live on the okay. Like literally, I will start with the damn brim and eat this thing. It ain't happening, okay? But yeah, can't see it. Can't see it. But props to the milkman for getting fit. But we gotta know, Paulo, is that homage to CR7 when he
Oh
rocked it?
yeah, with the
Is that
pink and the
homage to CR?
white kit.
Is that homage to CR?
Sorry, what's the question?
The man bun? Is the man bun homage to
Oh,
CR7?
sorry, the bun. No, it's kind of because it's growing, and then if I don't put it into something, it flops around. And when I get up at whatever 4 o'clock in the morning to do the show with you, I have to figure out something with my hair. So that's
CR7's gonna be pissed when he hears that it's not homage to him.
so the answer is yes, of course.
So te CR. No homage. No homage. Thoughts about selling Keenan? I kind of weighed in on that, but let's get your thoughts. So, Lex Paulo selling Keenan.
Before I got sent to like, I don't know, Nebraska or something, when my internet got cut out, I was in the middle of saying that I do think that it just doesn't make any sense from a financial perspective and from a tactical perspective, because the kid is 19, and I was having a conversation with my brother about this, and actually shout out to him. He pointed out, if you are going to sell him now, you're underselling him because he hasn't even reached his like peak potential yet. He's only 19. So if you are going to keep him from a financial perspective, keeping your asset until you can sell at a high, you'd be selling him when he's not reached that high yet right now. And I agree with that. I also think, in my opinion, from a tactical perspective, like this is a guy that you want to build your team around. A guy loves the club. And that's why, like, I personally would keep him. Some players, they just shouldn't have a value. Some players are untouchable. For me, Yildiz is one of those.
Yeah.
But I also get worried with how the club, specifically Motta, is handling Yildiz right now. And that makes me fearful, especially with the agent that he has, as well as his aspirations for a player of his caliber. So I think personally that the club needs to get it together. As you mentioned, Berto, either someone from above these guys protecting him, or Motta needs to drop this act and whatever is going on needs to be quashed because I'm getting nervous about it.
Yeah. It's concerning. Again, I have a number in my mind of where I would maybe sit down at the table. And I don't think we're going to come anywhere close to it this summer for offers. So it's just a no. We move forward, and I'm happy to move forward with him. Because all these rumors about 80, 90 million euros, I don't expect to see anything of the sort. If we see an offer, it's maybe 50 to 60. And I'm not so sure that I even give a shit about that. And I keep this kid around. His talent is huge. There's two guys over this whole period of us trying to get the finances right while everybody was losing it. And there's only two guys that I actually cared about. One was Dean Huijsen. And I even was able to concede at that because I was a little sketched out about what I was hearing behind the scenes and his stint at Roma, which that loan spell was brutal. And there's a reason that there was only a few teams coming in for him after that loan, etc. But I was willing to concede there. But I ultimately wanted to see him stay, but I could get it. I made sense of it. Yildiz, I can't get behind this move. If they would consider 50 to 60 million euros, like I said, you have to start. We're at this point now where worlds are going to, well, for the Seinfeld fans, worlds are colliding, okay? Worlds are going to collide. You have sporting matters colliding with financial decisions, and they're going to just clash head on this summer. But now you have the freedom to take sporting and make decisions with that on your basis. You are not going to lose a single thing on keeping Yildiz. If there's a 50, 60 million, this is not the scenario of Alexandro of the past there. This is completely different. This guy, sky's the limit. It ain't going down. And if something were to happen, it's still all profit regardless. Let's say it stints a bit. You're still making, you don't lose on Yildiz. But this guy's got to stay. Paulo.
Yeah, he's an incredible talent. You're right. If the books get balanced in the next 6 months or whatever, there's no need to get the undervalue money you would get for him. And then to Lex's point, we haven't seen the best of him. Motta hasn't brought out the best in him. He hasn't played a position where he probably belongs often. So we need, I hope, Motta doesn't ruin his career, but we need to see the best of him still, and there's no excuse to get what little money we would get for him. There's no need.
Yeah. And people are, there's a follow-up to this that was added after about need an instant impact, not a potential. Dybala had that impact. Keenan is far away from that. But I think there's I don't know. I think there's very little work that has to come from his side. I've said all along, like a broken fucking record, the major downfall with this team right now is not personnel. It's the system. 100%. I felt that way through Dusan criticisms, through Yildiz criticisms, through Chico Conceição criticisms, through midfielder criticism. This isn't working, and it's trying to get force-fed. So, yeah, I tend to be okay with our players. Charles, I agree 100 with you about Gatti. He's been our best center back this year. Charles, agreeing with me has not happened a lot. This guy comes at me pretty hard sometimes, so there you go. I'll take that. Maybe that's a good omen for the game coming into this one. Xabi Alonso, ? I'm at a no, which might surprise many, but no. Still too fresh. Bayern, Leverkusen, etc. Incredible run. I agree with the way he sees the game, etc. But no. Just a no. I don't know why either. I might not really be able to explain, but I don't know. The vibes, I don't know.
The vibes, yeah.
I wish we could stop having coach discussions. I just want somebody to come in and get the fucking job done so that we can lock in. You know?
I know.
Like, that's all I want. I just want someone to come in and give us the confidence that it's like, you know what? This is the guy. And it can happen even if the results aren't to the degree of what we want it. You could still have confidence in a manager. Be like, you know what? I see where this is going. I don't see where this is going. And that's what scares me. And that's why I'm kind of like, man, I'll take this and go one game at a time to the end of the season. But I have major concerns. Today, got to get the job done. Paolo is going with a 2-2 draw. Lex had a 2-1 victory. I called ourselves a little shithouse 2-1 Grease Fest. But in closing thoughts, as we get ready to head into the matchup, yes, I'm bringing you all watch along. Get the likes up right now. Guys, in closing, where are you at? How do you feel? What do you think's going to, play out this season? Top 4, confidence level. Lex, scale of 1 to 5, top 4.
I'm going to say 5.
Thiago Motta, coach next season, 1 to 5.
Like, in terms of whether or not we keep him?
Your confidence level in him staying and being the coach next season, 1 to 5.
I'm going to put it at a 4 because I think that if we make top 4, I do think they're keeping him. But that's not my personal opinion. That's what I think is going to happen.
All right. 1 to 5, Paulo, same questions. We reach top 4, and 1 to 5, is Motta going to be here next year?
Well, the spirit of Skanga lives. I think there's going to be some struggle at the top. I think we squeeze out a 4. I think that grudgingly puts Motta back into his job for next year. So I think we have about a 3 out of 5 chance of 3.5 out of 5 chance of staying in the top 4 or staying in the top 4. And then I think, unfortunately, probably that means Motta sticks around for another year, and God help us all.
I've got 3.5 on top 4. I think there's going to be a lot of drops points there with the clown shows around us. I think we could potentially hit 3rd. So I'm going to go 3.5, maybe on a 4. For Motta sticking around next year, if he reaches that, he will stay. I don't see them getting rid of him if he reaches top 4. So I'm going to probably say 3.5 to 4 on both of those. I don't see a way really changing things. The whole kicker in all this is what happens on the backside. All these rumors around Agnelli, a return shorter than 2 years, other coaches coming available. Who knows? Who knows what the deal is? All we could do is wait and see. But for today, it's Cagliari, it's Juve. I'll be live 20 minutes before kickoff. We got to take care of business. It's time. It's time. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Do not disappoint us against Cagliari. Do not do this after the Champions League debacle. Okay? Take care of business. Lex, Paolo, always an absolute pleasure. Everybody, we'll reconvene 20 minutes before kickoff. Go have your superstitious shot of espresso. Do whatever the hell it is. Put that lucky kit on. By the way, any requests? What kit should I rock today for good luck? I rolled with that anniversary kit yesterday. 120 anniversary. That thing is knockout. Can't follow it up again. Any kit? What kit, Lex? Should I go old Kappa days? Nike?
Yeah.
Kappa?
Go Kappa.
Paulo, Kappa? Nike? Adidas?
The pink with the black star.
Oh, I like that
my
one.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
The Baloko one. That's one of my faves. Wait, I love it.
I still got the tags.
Oh my gosh.
I usually don't even pull them. I'll be quite honest. It's a weird thing I got. Why they're like, why don't you pull the? I was like, I never pull the tags.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Never pull the tags on kits. Never do it. I don't know why.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like never do.
That's
Never do.
interesting.
We'll have some fun though on the watch along, everybody. And pink kit with the black star. I always thought I never liked that kit, but look at Matt. Matt loves it. A lot of people love that kit. I was never a big fan. Never a big fan. That's your favorite?
One of my favorites, like top like 3 for me.
Top 3?
Yeah, maybe I just
Wow.
like pink. I don't know.
Pink's awesome. It's one of our colors too. Like I think it's our original color, wasn't it? Pink.
Yeah, pink.
I'd love to see a pink kit. I think it's sick.
We need one. Yeah, again, agreed.
Yeah, actually, we do need a pink one. The next year's kit only has pink highlights on the home.
Yeah,
They didn't follow it up with that. We'll see what happens. Everybody, can't wait to reconvene for this one. Paolo, Lex, absolute pleasure. Guys, take care. We'll talk soon. Ciao tutti. Forza Juve. Fino alla fine.